Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a user named Sewing Season in the Relationship Advice subreddit. The post is titled, "Ex-wife married my best friend. It's killing me. I have been with my wife for 5 years and married for 4 years. We have 3 kids from her previous relationships. I really love her and her kids. Things were perfect until 3 or 4 months ago. I've had 3 big promotions in 5 years. We bought a house last year. She stays home with the kids and is trying to make a social media career happen. I have always been on the fence about having kids, but she really wanted us to have one together, so I agreed to have my vasectomy reversed. She is 7 months pregnant now. We were so incredibly happy. My ex-wife divorced me in 2019 and moved about 2 hours away a few months into the pandemic. Our divorce was amicable, but once it was finalized, I never heard from her again, even when I would wish her well on birthdays and holidays. I even sent her a graduation gift when I heard that she finished her PhD program. Other people in our social circle, including my parents and sister-in-law who sent her a gift, received handwritten thank you cards. I didn't get so much as a text. My ex-wife is a really kind and thoughtful person, and the woman I knew would have at least sent a thank you text if her worst enemy sent her a gift. Even though we broke up, I didn't think she hated me. My best friend and I have been best friends since college. He's the best person I know, and at least 10 people think he's their best friend, but he said that I was always his. We kind of lost touch during the pandemic. We live 2 hours apart, and he is a lawyer and teaches classes at a university, so he is really busy. I have a really busy career, a new wife, and 3 kids. I didn't really realize that the texts between us were fewer, and that the last time he finally replied to me was in late 2021. He also falls off the face of the earth when he gets with a new girl, and then when things cool off, we all hear from him more. We have always been the kind of friends that could go an extended period of time without communicating and then pick up right where we left off. I kept saying that I would eventually call him when things were less busy. My wife and I went to visit the city he and my ex-wife live in last summer for a week, and I tried calling him a couple of times to meet up, but he never answered. I was sad, but just figured he was busy with work or obsessed with a new girlfriend. I have other friends there, so I got to see them. Then I went to the city again by myself in October for a Halloween party. I figured he'd be at this party and was psyched that I'd get to see him then. He was there. When I went to say hi and hug him, he looked a little surprised and gave me a weak hug. I told him that I was there during the summer and that I tried calling him so we could hang out. He just said, "Yeah, I was on my honeymoon that week. Sorry, I didn't get back to you." I was really shocked to hear that he'd gotten married and a little hurt that my best friend got married without me even knowing he had a serious girlfriend, but still happy for him. Like I said, he was a great guy and girls love him. I spit out a rush of questions like, who is she, where is she, what's her name, what's she like, where'd you meet her, how long have you been together? He paused for a moment and then just bluntly said, "It's X." My ex-wife doesn't have a unique name or anything, but it isn't the most common name either, and instantly I knew that it was her. I can't describe how it felt to hear those 2 words come out of his mouth. I felt sick to my stomach and immediately wanted to die. I have never felt like that before. I just said, "What the hell?" He told me that I didn't get to be mad because I broke her heart, and they didn't start dating until 2 years after we got divorced, and that I chose to be with some waitress anyway. I drank the rest of the weekend because it was the only way I was able to sleep. I feel betrayed by both of them. My best friend since I was 20 years old married my ex-wife behind my back. I was married to her for 6 years and they were never even friends, and now they are in love with each other. I also found out that he talked badly about my current wife and me behind my back and never liked her. I went back home and I know that I was distant with my wife and the kids because I was hurting so much. After a couple of weeks, we had a big fight and she called me out on being distant and accused me of cheating. I finally came clean and told her about my ex and my best friend, which she scoffed about and said she'd known about them for a long time now because of social media. I flew into a rage and we fought for hours. She betrayed me by not telling me the entire time she knew. She didn't say anything when I mentioned my best friend not returning my calls or messages. I didn't get to sleep before going to work, and after work, I just stayed with my parents for a few days. When I finally went back home, we got into another fight where she accused me of still being in love with my ex and said that I wouldn't care if I wasn't. I called her stupid and said that she wouldn't understand because she doesn't have any friends. I wouldn't care if my ex-wife got married to anyone else if it wasn't my best friend. I don't see what is so hard to understand about that. We made up eventually, but I feel sick to my stomach every day and things aren't the same in our relationship. I love my wife, but I've come to realize it's not the same way I loved my ex-wife. My wife doesn't love me the same way my ex-wife did either. I have started to regret the things that led to our divorce because we were really happy until the moment she left me. I don't even have my best friend to call because he's too busy with my ex-wife to care about me anymore. Everything feels empty and like a lie now. A lot of friends agree that they both betrayed me but think I need to move on. Even my dad and brother told me to get over it. My sister-in-law yelled at me and my mom tries to comfort me, but I know she's overhearing about my problems. I have to pretend I'm okay, but I'm not. No one gives a shit about mental health when it comes to men. I brought up couples therapy to my wife, but she said that she thinks we are okay since we worked through things. Guess I have to pretend for the rest of my life now because divorce is not on the table. I need advice on what to do and how to get closure. I am thinking of driving to their city to just show up and force them to talk to me so I can move on. Is that too much to ask? How do I get my wife to see that it is hard to trust her after knowing she kept a big secret from me for a long time? The 3 people I love the most outside of my blood family ripped my heart out. My wife knew about my best friend being in a relationship with my ex-wife and didn't tell me. Best friend ghosted me around the time he started dating my ex-wife. Ex-wife is still friendly with my family and mutual friends, but not me. Update. The overwhelming consensus here is that I am a piece of shit, which is true. The other consensus is that I need therapy. I asked my brother to help me, but neither of us even knows where to begin to find a therapist. He said he would ask his wife to help us, and she texted me this morning and said she was only helping because of my brother. I guess that's fair. A few months later, OP gave us an update. I guess I should start by saying that I had or have a lot more issues than my original post addressed or than I even recognized at the time. Therapy is helping me uncover a lot of it, and it's really uncomfortable on the good days and crushing on the bad days. So many people talk about how they feel so much better after going to therapy, but I feel worse. I'm still going to go though because for as much as it sucks, it is helping me learn better ways of dealing with things. It is also helping me explain myself to myself a little better. Like, I am a shitty person, but I wasn't always a shitty person, and I am starting to see where it all went wrong. I feel like understanding that is the only way I can address those things and then become a better person. I did inpatient therapy, and after my release, I see a therapist in her office once a week and meet virtually once a week. I also see a psychiatrist once every 2 weeks and started on some medications. It's weird how I can kind of see them helping parts of my brain, but dulling other parts and making my body not feel the best. I try to explain it to the doctor, but he just tells me it is going to take some time for them to fully work and that eventually I will get used to it. My wife had the baby, but while I was away, she told me about the possibility of the baby not being mine. I grieved that so much, but I decided it wasn't much good to dwell on it too much right now until we knew for sure once she was born. The results came back last week and she isn't mine. We haven't made any decisions yet about our relationship, but we are living together for the sake of the kids and her recovery from having the baby. She said that if I didn't want to be with her anymore, she'd go back to her home state with her mom and stepdad. She also mentioned that she knew she wouldn't get alimony or child support because of our state, but I told her I would help her get back home and on her feet if that's what ended up happening. Since I got back home, I have stepped up more and been more active as a dad, which has been really good for me. Being a responsible and present father helps me forget about all of the other stuff in the moment, but it would be a lie for me to say that I don't worry about how much it'll hurt to lose them if we break up, since they are not biologically or legally mine. I also just worry about them a lot and think they deserve to have a safe, stable, and happy childhood. I'm really sad that the baby isn't mine. I wanted her to be mine more than anything in the world, but I find it really hard to be angry with my wife for some reason. I cheated on my first wife with her, so it's kind of karma in a way, and what could I really expect when our relationship started the way that it did? Plus, there's this other part of me that understands that she is a deeply damaged person like me. I don't really want to go into a lot of details, but we both lived through some similar experiences happening to us when we were kids that bonded us. Neither of us really dealt with it, but I thought that I was okay because I grew up privileged and she didn't. So I always had more opportunities than she did. I also thought that since I didn't think about it as much, I was okay. She thought about it all the time and she wasn't okay. My ex-wife is an amazing woman and she deserves to be happy. I sent her an email and just kind of poured my heart out about how sorry I am for hurting her. I would rip my heart out to give to her if it helped her heal from the heartbreak I caused her. I said in the email that I didn't expect a reply and that I would never attempt contact with her again after that. She got in contact with my brother a few times to check on me, and she's called me twice, and we talked for a few hours about everything. She's really happy, and she's doing well. I'm proud of her, and she deserves to be happy. I am really lucky that I had the years that I had with her, but now it is time to accept how I screwed up and try my best to do better going forward. I don't think I will ever contact her again, but would be happy to hear from her if she ever reaches out again. It still hurts a little, but I understand now that that door is fully closed. The door with my friend is closed too. We haven't spoken, and we probably never will, but that's okay. I found out from other friends that he was always in love with my ex-wife and that he was the person who convinced her to move to where they live now after our divorce. I think knowing helps because the story I created in my head was far worse. I also understand now why no one wanted to tell me. My brother and I got so close again, which his wife isn't the happiest about. I'm not sure where I would be right now if it wasn't for him. We invited them over during the weekend, and at one point, she and I were in a room alone for a few minutes, and I told her that I was sorry, and she just hugged me and told me that I was stupid, but that she knows I am trying. I also have two really good friends who have been there for me through everything, even though they have been clear from the very beginning that they have not agreed with my actions. All of them are more than I deserve. My relationship with my parents isn't in the best place right now. They are both really mad at me because my brother confronted them about what I told him related to the thing that happened when I was a kid. They feel like he is blaming them and that they did the best they could for me. I think that they are really embarrassed too. I get it, and I don't really blame them. I don't think they knew what to do. But I am not going to apologize to them either, so until I do, they don't really want to be around me. I'm not sure that this is the update that anyone wanted to read, but it's all I've got. My life is still very much in limbo, maybe even shambles. But I am doing my best to fix it and to fix some of the hurts I have caused others. I would recommend therapy as much as everyone recommended it to me, but I would caution to add that it requires a lot of honesty to work and that sometimes that kind of honesty reopens old wounds. But those wounds are dirty and infected, so you've got to clean them up and treat them to get better, which is going to hurt, but I am not sure there is any other way. User Unintentional Wipe said, I always appreciate it when someone comes to Reddit hoping to receive affirmation and comfort, but gets told off instead, only for them to take it and change for the better. The timing made it obvious that he cheated, so it was strange that he didn't realize this was why his ex-wife never responded to him. He probably thought that because he tried to make the divorce easy for her, they were okay. I don't know if his current relationship will last, but I hope he continues with therapy and grows more. Maybe he could get his wife into it too, so neither of them has to look for outside sources for comfort. User Gregor the Mound said, it's a bit rich that he omitted the fact that he cheated in the first post. That's a pretty important nugget of information to leave out. This next post was made in the AITAH subreddit by a user named Pollution Alert. The post is titled AITAH for not continuing a relationship with my ex-wife's daughter. My wife of 8 years had an affair with a co-worker. I stayed married to her because our daughters have been together since they were 2 and 3. She had an affair with the same guy again, so I threw her out and divorced her. Now she texts and emails me, despite me telling her to leave me alone, begging me to have a relationship with her daughter and to allow my daughter to have one with her as well. I've explained to her several times that they aren't sisters and that I'm not her daughter's father. Her own father is a POS, so I get it, but that's not my problem anymore. She should have considered the consequences of her actions before she did anything. I was okay with raising a kid that wasn't mine while we were married, but she showed her appreciation for that by cheating. So now she doesn't get access to me in any capacity. She tells me I'm cruel and heartless because her kid is miserable without us. I told her to ask the guy she cheated on me with to raise her kid. User Purple Philosophy said NTA, it is sad for the kids, but it's better for you to make a clean break so everyone can heal. My dad was married and I had a stepbrother and stepsister for a while when I was a kid. They divorced and I never saw them again. I lived. To this day, I don't even think about them or their mom. User Fancy Boysenberry said NTA. I do feel bad for her child, but she needs to get the hell away from you. Yes, that little girl should have a man in her life, but that's on her mom. These are the consequences of her actions. She found a man who stepped up to be there for her daughter. She cheats, and OP still gave her another shot. And what does she do to this man who is far better than me? She cheats on him again with someone else. She's just going to try to weasel her way back in. Just never see her again. This next post was made by a throwaway account in the relationship advice subreddit. The post is titled, "I just found out my GF is lying about being on a trip. Is there any hope, or am I cooked? My girlfriend Amy and I went on our first date around 1.5 years ago, took things slowly while being exclusive, and have been officially dating for 1 year. Overall, the relationship has been pretty good, minus some small hiccups in communication that she attributes to her neurodivergence. Amy isn't great with texting, which I initially thought was a red flag until I realized she's like that with almost everyone, including most of her friends and family. To give a little background, Amy and a few of her girlfriends attend a conference a few states away twice per year. It's a 2-day event, but they usually turn it into a 5-day vacation because it requires a flight and hotel and is in a nice city. Amy's friend group is typically very active on social media during these trips, posting on their Instagram stories throughout. This weekend was supposed to be their 3rd time attending. Amy and her friends had their flights and hotels booked for months, as confirmed by some of their posts on social media expressing excitement about having everything planned. Unfortunately, the conference was canceled, but since they had already booked everything, they decided to still enjoy the vacation. My girlfriend and I had a date night last weekend. She was telling me how excited she was for her trip. All was good until the end of the date when I caught a glimpse of Amy's phone. She was on her airline app, seemingly reading cancellation policies. We'd had a long day and I was tired. I felt like I was snooping or being nosy, so I didn't say anything. During the week, I asked Amy to hang out the day before her flight, emphasizing that I wanted to see her before her trip. Unfortunately, she said she was meeting up with her group of co-worker friends, so she couldn't. No worries. On the morning of her flight, I texted her to wish her a safe flight and happy trip. She liked my message and we haven't talked since. As I mentioned earlier, she's not big on texting, so we usually don't text much unless we're planning dates or dealing with emergencies. I figured she was on her trip and didn't text again to plan anything. Now onto the main issue. Amy is supposed to be a few days into her trip now, but I noticed none of her friends were posting on Instagram. That struck me as odd because they usually post a lot during these trips. Still, I shrugged it off until tonight. Amy started posting videos of herself at a show. It looked fun, and at first I didn't think twice about it, until the end of the video when the show host called out "thank you," followed by the name of the major city near where we live. Curious, I looked up the name of the show and confirmed that it was happening in our nearby city this weekend. This means she wasn't on that vacation after all and never thought to tell me about it. I did some snooping on Venmo and found out that over 2 weeks ago, Amy's friend paid her back for the hotel and car rental costs. So she's known for at least 2 weeks that the trip was canceled, but hasn't said anything to me, even when I brought it up multiple times. Where do I go from here? I feel like I'm spiraling and overthinking everything lately to see if I've missed any signs. I've already started assuming the worst and am panicking. I'm out of town for the weekend myself, but this has totally thrown off my trip. Is this worth having a conversation about, or is the relationship already over? Is there any valid reason why she wouldn't have told me by now, even if she tells me about the cancellation when I see her next before I confront her about it? Does that justify not saying anything until after what would have been the trip? Please, any advice is greatly appreciated. Edit, her best friend just uploaded a picture of them together during the show, so now I know she wasn't there with another guy, but that still doesn't explain why she lied. 2 weeks later, OP provided us with an update. To quickly summarize my last post, a few weeks back, my girlfriend was supposed to go on a trip a few states away for a conference. I found out that the conference was canceled and she didn't actually go and never even bothered to tell me. She lied by omission by not informing me when I texted her to have a good flight. I discovered she didn't go because her best friend posted a picture of them at a show in our nearby city. So here we are, almost a month later. I was wrecked and spiraling these past few weeks, and after being together for almost 2 years, I was too panicked to reach out and ask to see her. During the 3 weeks since her planned trip, she hasn't reached out to me once. That was until yesterday when she casually contacted me as if we hadn't ignored each other for 3 weeks and asked to see a movie. I finally saw her tonight. In the car, I asked about her trip. Her facial response was really weird, as if she got caught off guard. I'm guessing she expected me to forget about it after a few weeks of not seeing her. She just said it was okay, which instantly confirmed my suspicions. I asked her what she had done, and she claimed she went to that conference for 1 day and then went to a show afterward before returning home the day after I made my original post. When I asked which show, she claimed it was the one in our local city. I was driving at the time and it was dark out, so I waited to confront her because I didn't want to get emotional and endanger us. When I confronted her about lying about the trip, doubling down on the lie about the conference, and tripling down on the lie about the show, her immediate response was to start deflecting. She said that if this was making me upset, I should imagine how she felt about her conference and trip being canceled. She expressed how heartbroken and upset she was that the conference was canceled and that she didn't want to talk about it. She kept insisting that she doesn't owe it to me or anyone else to share details about her life. I called her out for gaslighting me, to which she responded that she was not gaslighting me. Kind of ironic, I guess. When I talked about how it made me feel and how she damaged my trust in her, she again tried to belittle my feelings by rolling her eyes and saying it was only a show. This conversation opened up much bigger issues in our relationship that I didn't mention in my last post. Generally, Amy has treated me poorly throughout our relationship. She has been hot and cold, put zero effort into communication, and it never felt like I was a priority for her. She gives me no affection or compliments despite drooling over male celebrities all day. She has made little effort to connect me with her family and friends. We've talked about all of this a few times now. She always claims to be overwhelmed with some new excuse and promises it will get better. Each time I cave in and agree to work through things. As expected, things never improve. This time is no different. She blamed a new job for being overwhelmed and said that's why she's been so distant. But this time was different. I guess her blatant lie to my face and your comments in the back of my mind gave me the strength to put my foot down. I broke up with her then and there. She kept begging me for one more chance, asking me to think on it for a few days, saying that she cares about me and didn't intend to hurt me, all that nonsense. But the whole time I was the one bawling and there wasn't a tear on her face. It really broke my heart to end things, but I've also grown to hate myself for putting up with her treatment for so long. I'm hurting a lot right now and I'm scared to get back into the dating world after 2 years of aging and some weight gain. I really loved her with every bit of my heart, and I'm terrified to picture my life without her. I really want to call her up and give her one final chance to get things right, but I know I'd never forgive myself if she didn't change and broke my heart again. I'm hurting badly, and I could really use some words of encouragement right now. User Gwynison said, "I'll start with the positive. I'm glad the OP is moving on from that ex. She sounds exhausting and toxic. That said, I can't help but shake my head at stories like this where they open by saying the relationship is normal or even great. And then the big issue that's troubling them, the basis for their first post, seems to have come out of nowhere. But then in the update, they start saying things like, I didn't mention this in the first post where I described the relationship as just fine, but she's actually a serial killer and has been flaying me alive on a weekly basis. But thanks to you guys pointing out that it's bad for my partner to flay me alive, I could see through their manipulation and dump them." User Grand Joe said, "Loneliness is awful, no doubt, but holy shit. The stuff people put up with just so they won't be alone makes me so sad sometimes. And yes, I understand that abused people often can't think straight. That's obviously heartbreaking too, you know?